Hey, Melissa,
Yes.
I, I know I don't know. I have my readers on, but can you blow that up just maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's much better. Thank you.
Sure.
Got it. You all right there?
Yeah. Who fell?
What? So,
It sounded like Bill fell off his chair.
Okay.
geez.
Turn this up a little bit for me. Island again.
How are you doing, Melissa?
We're doing good. There's still some people coming in.
Okay. Well, we'll wait. We'll give them another 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
Hey, Melissa, it's Jim.
Hi, Jim.
You?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, just wanted to make sure, were you able to send an invite to the Fiorellos for infrastructure next week?
I didn't send anything out for infrastructure yet. I didn't get the agenda yet.
No, I know the draft's still going around, but I wanted to make sure we forgot to invite them so they could make their proposal.
I can do that. Sure.
Great, thanks.
Sure.
Send Angel the link.
Angel who?
No.
Who said that?
I don't know what they hear. Where?
There's somebody's dog that's listening.
Because they're at home.
Councilman, do, I guess.
Melissa, how are we?
There's nobody in the waiting room.
Okay, fine. We'll call the Tuesday, November 10th meeting of the Wyomissing Borough Council to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, which I will say, and you can say it to yourselves. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Melissa.
Councilmember Boucher.
Here.
Councilmember Woodward.
Here.
Councilmember Brunner.
Here.
Councilmember Jenks.
Here.
Councilmember Menon.
Here.
Councilmember Durr.
Here.
And Council President Mole.
Here. To inform everyone, there was an executive session for this evening's meeting to discuss possible litigation. We'll now take public comments. Anybody?
Yeah, I want to say a couple of words.
Will you please state your name and your address, please?
Yeah, sure. Adrian Jadick, 48 Cardinal Road.
Thank you.
No, just a few comments about the past election, and I think that our election services and county services have done a tremendous job pulling out this thing. It was really a feat, and that based on the statistics, Wyomissing has rejected Trumpism on a ratio of 2-to-1, which I think it's a good thing to acknowledge and commend. And I'm makes us proud to be part of this this borough. So other than that, there's nothing else. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Yes. Can you see me and hear me?
Yes. Would you please give your name and your address?
Yes, thank you. Angel Helm, 1158 Old Mill Road.
Okay.
First, I just want to start out by saying thank you to all the Borough Council members for the work you do on a volunteer basis. It's extremely appreciated by everybody, and you all are doing a wonderful job for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
The reason for the call, and I think there's several other participants on the phone. I know that I've been getting texts that some had difficulty getting on, so I don't know who was successful and who wasn't. But I'll start off by saying the reason that we're calling in this evening is to ask the borough if there have been any plans or arrangements made to control the deer population in the borough. It seems that this year it just was excessive, where the deer are now coming up, on people's lawns, near their doors. I've been hearing reports of Lyme disease. I know my own dog had Lyme disease, and while I love animals, I'm much more concerned about people getting disease from the burgeoning deer population. They're, a health hazard. They are a nuisance. They destroy landscape. And, I'm hoping that some of the folks that have been organizing around this also speak up, because I believe there's some doctors on the phone that can speak to the health hazard. So I guess in general, I'll just end by saying I'm hoping that if there isn't a plan in place, that there's certainly serious consideration given to this health hazard in our community. I think it involves liability to just let these deers keep going, growing in population.
Oh, I have no idea about it.
So that's really all my commentary. Thank you.
I can't get off.
Let me address the issue of the deer with everybody that is calling about them. We have been dealing with this problem for the last few years, and much to our surprise, the deer population is controlled by the United States Department of Agriculture, the Wildlife Division. They have exactly 2 remedies for these to get rid of the deer. They come in and do a controlled hunt, and they also have a where they would go into a certain area and just concentrate there with sharpshooters. Borough Council, thinking about this, did not think it was in the best interest of the population of this community to have people around at night shooting deer. We were more afraid of somebody getting shot, or that would be in the parkland or in somebody's home where a bullet comes through a window and God forbid kill somebody. That is our biggest problem, and that is our biggest concern. And we have taken the position that it's just not worth it to have somebody hurt over a deer hunt. These are high-powered rifles, and you can't control a bullet once it leaves the gun.
They're not experts?
It's just that's where we are with this thing, and there's not a whole lot we can do. And I agree, they're in my yard as well. I've got I've had 3 of them that come in every night and eat whatever they want. Now we did spread that deer and fence repellent and get it over at Lowe's, and it kind of keeps them away. They kind of go to something else. But that's where we are with that, Mrs. Helm.
Tom, just to interrupt, and Mrs. Helm, just so you know, I think something else that we had discussed previously was that the borough manager, Mr. Brandenburg, was going to contact the USDA again to see if anything had changed with their, I guess their table of contents about what they can do for this sort of thing. So we would at least certainly check it out again, so to speak, to see if there's anything different that could be done.
You tell them you were on, not me.
We
Okay,
can.
Tom? Is that right, Tom? Right.
That's correct, and we will.
What?
As soon as we hear if there's anything has changed, we'll just make it as a public on the website, or discuss discuss it at the next council meeting.
I'm not good at speaking.
I think there might be some other folks on the line that would like to share their thoughts as well.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Renee Hayes. I live at 511 Lowers Lane.
Okay.
I would just like to say that we also have the exact same deer problem that Angel was explaining, but we have as many as 20 deer in our front yard, our backyard, on our patio at any point of time, day or night. They're around our swimming pool in the morning. We have so much deer poop in our yard. We use a landscaper that sprays our shrubbery once a month to the tune of $300 a month. And these deer are totally unaffected by it. I mean, something truly does have to be done about this. We have doe and buck that, I'm not kidding you, are like 150 pounds in our backyard. I mean, we just can't let this go. We have 5 acres of land here that I would personally allow them to come and shoot with a bow and arrow and take them away. I mean, something really does have to be done. And we have, and I'm not going to name names, but we have a lady that lives right behind us. She lives on a very small property. She has a split rail fence around her small yard. And in the afternoon, she comes and dumps an entire bucket of corn over her fence onto our property. I think it's illegal. I already called the game commission and they said there's really nothing I can do about it. Something really does need to be done.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, thank you. I appreciate your problem. That is a problem.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I understand. Believe me. Anyone else?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name is Rob Early. I'm at 1418 Old Mill Road.
Okay.
I might be the physician that Angel was referring to, and I'm not an expert in the infectious diseases, but these deer do carry this Lyme disease around. But more to your point, to throw your hands in the air and say, we can't do anything, it seems like a controlled hunt with experts. We're not talking about me shooting a gun wildly. We're talking about experts who know exactly where to hunt these things and how not to shoot into people's houses and how not to hurt anyone. I'm surprised that that wouldn't be an option, or that you wouldn't consider that an option. So I'm just saying, I think there has to be some option short of just throwing your hands in the air and saying we can't do anything.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm surprised too to hear you say that there's nothing you can do about it, because we have to find a solution. You know, that'd be like saying, I don't know, that we now have contaminated water and, you know, well, sorry, we can't do anything about it. I mean, it's a health hazard. You know, out at Blue Marsh, they have signs up for wasting disease. I would encourage everybody to look up wasting disease because of deer. You know, it's going to get worse is the point. Like, there's no magic that will make this problem go away unless we take action. And I'd like to think that the tax dollars that we pay should really get us more of a result than, sorry, we can't do anything about it. You know, I just really think we have to come together and work on a solution for this, because it is a health hazard, and no one wants to live in an area where we are being overrun with a deer population that will only grow.
Right.
Well, I agree. Now, listen, we agree with you. We understand the issue. The issue that council is talking about is somebody with a rifle. You know, there is no way of knowing somebody's expertise with a gun. The problem is when the bullet leaves the rifle, you don't know where it's going to go. And the higher the power of the bullet, the further it goes. So if you miss and it hits somebody, the Borough of Wyomissing et al. Is responsible. We have a duty to protect our citizens. And if somebody would be in the parkland and would get shot while somebody's in there trying to hunt, we've got a big problem. Council
I
does not
agree
feel-
with Mr. Moll. I certainly wouldn't want anybody starting shooting guns around my property. So the other thing I think has to be said here is that the residents can install fences. We do have fences around our property, and
Can I say
You
something?
jump
obviously don't know
right
the-
over the fences. I have a neighbor with a zoning, the highest fence that zoning permits, and those deer in one fell swoop jump over it like it's nothing. So a fence is hardly the answer.
yeah, I don't know. I don't have deer around.
Hi, could I say something?
Of course you may. Will you give your
Okay.
name and address?
Lynn Sackman, 1723 Reading Boulevard.
Okay.
We live right on Jackrabbit Hill, which I think everybody knows where that is. So we're in the deer path, and there are times where we see 35, 40 deer pass from Jackrabbit Hill across the street back into, you know, going towards the Highlands. No one here is suggesting that we have someone that we don't know who's not an expert go out and try to take care of these deer. But I think what we are suggesting is, can we have a study? Can we study maybe having someone or some entity go out with bow and arrow at night? And just, can we study this so we can have a solution? It seems like to say, no, we don't want somebody going out with a rifle and we need to do something, or, you know, we're too apart on this, but can we have a study? Can we look at it? Because there is a solution. There are communities around the country who do cull deer, and they're successful with it. And, you know, by the way, I love the deer. I look out and I see them, and I don't want to do this, but what I want less is for community members to be affected by these.
No, that's okay. It's more
I'll be able to
important for
hear
you.
it.
No, it's more important for you.
You know, while Lynn was talking, I just jumped online to wildlifespecialist.com, and there are clearly professionals who go into communities and cull the deer. They put in a system with goals and objectives to manage deer. I'm reading right from the internet. To manage deer population with parameters. They study ecosystem characteristics, damage management, and other issues on a professional basis. So we are not the only community that is having this problem, but we're the only community, it seems, that really isn't interested in doing something about the problem. I'm looking here, local groups of qualified hunters. There's all kinds of deer management. I just Googled one site. I mean, I didn't even try. I did it while Lynn was talking. So, I'd like to hear from some other members of council on their opinion of this problem, and if they think that this is something we just
Right, but I don't know
throw up
how to
our
get
hands
to
about.
that.
Mr. President, may I object to you have set out some rules for public speaking that it seems that, again, we discussed last time that we have double standards. And
Yes, but I'm trying to, I
it
mean.
looks like now it has become a town hall, not a council meeting. Could we please enforce those rules so that everybody can take their turn and have their 5 minutes and then move to the agenda, please?
I would like to ask whoever is on the line that is not muted when they're not talking, please do so. I'm getting private conversations behind me, and I can't hear who's talking. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, Tom, John Woodward here. Would you mind if I said a couple words?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Well, Angel and all, I used to be on the Charles Evans Cemetery Board, and we had a severe deer problem. And we hired sharpshooters, and they got 14 out of 15. Well, if you have one, that's all right. But anyway, it was very expensive, about $1,000 a deer in the first place. In the second place, Charles Evans Cemetery is landlocked, and in Wyomissing, these deer run up and down the creek, and I don't know what the answer is, but I know it's a concern. I saw one behind my house in the alley. I live near the boulevard, but I don't know. We're between a rock and a hard place. And I went 2 years ago when we first started talking about it. I went to the parks meetings, and half the committee was for doing something, and half the committee wasn't for doing something. And I don't know how the general populace in Wyomissing feels, but we know it's a problem, and we're looking to solutions.
As I said, let's Pat
Well, John,
Brandenburg.
I appreciate that you are looking into solutions.
Okay. We are going to have Pat look into this with the Department of Agriculture, who has control and jurisdiction over the population in this particular community. And we'll see if they've come up with any new ideas other than what the last ones were, and we'll go from there. That's the best I can do for you at this particular moment.
You've got it now, right?
Is there anyone else that has anything to say?
We have a bunch of liberals.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. We'll move on to the bulk of the meeting. Can I have a motion to receive all committee reports, please?
So moved.
Second?
Go ahead, Bill.
Second?
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. First is the council meeting from October 13th, 2020. Are there any additions and corrections to the minutes of the meeting? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting that, please signify by saying aye.
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 Have it. Next one is the consulting engineers report. Jim McCarthy.
Good evening, everyone. Hopefully everyone's having a good night. Pretty much everything on the report is pretty much self-explanatory, or a few action items are in the committee reports later. I'll just give a quick update on 4th Street. All the work's progressing well there. It's several meetings. Michelle had a bunch of phone calls with some residents. I think we've, between her and I and the contractor, we resolved all the concerns they had, and everything's moving forward. Most of the concrete work, as well as the base repair, the base work on 4th should be done before Christmas, and then the bulk of then they'll kind of not do much over the winter and kick back off in the spring when the weather breaks to finish the rest of the project. And that's all I had, unless anybody had any questions or in the report or something I didn't cover in the report.
Any questions for the consulting engineer? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting that report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Have it. Police chiefs and mayors report. Tom, Fred.
This is Fred. I really don't have anything specific to add tonight. We have both Lieutenant Tom Endy and Officer in Charge John Phillips on the call as well, and they would be glad to answer any specific questions that any member of council has.
Okay. Any questions for John or Tom? Hearing
Yeah,
none.
I just have one, Tom.
Go ahead.
I saw last week we had an officer suffered a wrist injury while making an arrest. How's that officer doing?
That was a record only, just so we have record of the information.
Oh, okay, Tom.
Okay. Anything come out of that, the porch pirates, Tom, that I sent you that note on?
No, I'm not sure we got back to the person. I didn't leave a phone number. I know we were going to stop down at the house that you'd give. I did see through a county website or a county email group this afternoon that there was some out in Muhlenberg. So hopefully that's not something that's coming our way, but we're on alert for it.
Maybe that's not a bad idea to put that out on the website. That these people are out and about, and especially with all the Prime and Amazon and UPS deliveries right now. I hate to think that's starting. So people make arrangements to get those boxes in off the porch.
Absolutely. We'll get something out on the website. We'll work on something. I can
That's
just
good.
tell, looking at it real quickly while we're still in that topic. We did speak with a complaint. Nothing was taken. And like I said, patrols see these reports on a daily basis, so they're alerted to it as well. But we'll get something together for the website for the community.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. All those in favor of accepting the police chief and mayor's report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Fire police commissioners report. Bill.
Okay, pretty much self-explanatory. Just hit on some highlights for the month of October. The fire department responded to 144 calls for service, of which 103 of those calls were within the borough, and they assisted on 41 calls, or 41 times, resulting in 0 fire damage. Most of the calls were emergency medical calls or motor vehicle accidents, and that was followed by 48 automatic fire alarms. Total responses year to date was 1,274.
Okay. All right. All in favor of accepting the fire commissioner's report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, infrastructure, Tom.
All right. There are, one item that we need to take action on. Otherwise, the rest is kind of self-explanatory in the report there. That item for action is about 4th Street, and we need to, the committee is recommending to council, to approve change order number 2 for an approximate amount of $15,000 with the specific amount coming now, I guess. Jim, do you have that?
Yeah, I do, Tom. The finalized amount is $12,354.86.
Okay, and so instead of the 15, it would be that amount, $12,354.86, as an adjustment, and it was based on authorizing some work to commence. The work was commenced before our meeting, but we had to have it officially approved tonight.
Yep.
Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
All right. And we had discussed it pretty thoroughly at the meeting, so we're looking for the formal approval there for that change order. And any other comments about it, Jim, or just are we good?
Essentially, the bulk of it was to add sidewalk in the block in front of the maintenance garage on the maintenance garage side. Previously, that was omitted, and as we were out there looking at it, because this is a multimodal project to promote walkability, bikeability, and alternative means in addition to traffic congestion, we sort of were looked at it and everyone came to the conclusion that it would kind of be something that would look stupid if we didn't put sidewalk in that half block section.
Right. Okay. So I will make that, or I will make that motion.
And a second.
Second.
And we have a second. Roll call, please, Melissa.
Councilmember Bauscher,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodward,
Yes.
Councilmember Brenner,
Yes.
Councilmember Jenks,
Yes.
Councilmember Menon,
Yes.
Councilmember Durr,
Yes.
and Council President Mole.
Yes.
Okay, and believe it or not, that's all there is. And I don't know, is Jim Babb there? Is Jim there?
Jim's
tonight?
on leave. Jim's on leave today, Tom.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, well, then maybe Pat, you can just give everybody like an update with the leaves, I guess, there. I just, anything special with that?
No, the crews are, this week has turned into a little bit heavier drop. There are 7 picking crews out. They're actually working also on a Saturday. So they're continuing to pick and spending an extra hour a day at least getting the leaves off the street.
Okay, and was there anything else that you know that he might have had or not? No?
None, and nothing that he spoke about.
Okay. All right, then that's all I have, Tom.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of accepting the infrastructure report, please signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it. Library, Jody.
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone. The library board met on October 19th via Zoom. I think the minutes are pretty self-explanatory. I would just remind everyone that the library is open now for limited service, limited hours, and they still have the grab and go service. From what I understand, election day went very smoothly and the library was able to hold a small fundraiser that day. They earned about almost $700, which was nice since they haven't been able to have many fundraisers this year. The next meeting is going to be November 16th at 7 p.m. also via Zoom. If anybody has any questions, let me know. That's all I have.
Thank you. All those in favor of accepting the library board report, please signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Personnel committee, Tom.
Okay, this is pretty straightforward also. The committee is going to recommend to council that after some discussion there that the administrative staff be included in the official Martin Luther King Jr. Day as an official, it's called here, I guess, an office holiday for the administrative staff. And I will make that motion.
And the second.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Noes? Ayes have it. Thank you.
And that's all there is for right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All those in favor of accepting the personnel committee report, please signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it. Rec board, Steve.
Okay. I'm sorry, I lost my page here. Rec board. You lose it in the electronic world, it takes a while to find it. All right, the rec board met on October 20th, my apologies. Short meeting, really basically what we had to do is discuss some of the future upcoming borough recreation events. And due to the, obviously the pandemic that we're in, the rec board is making a motion for the annual lighting of the greens to go from an in-person gathering to a virtual event. And the rec board unanimously was in favor of that. So I will make that motion that we make the annual lighting of the greens a virtual event for 2020 with regret.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it.
We're told that the interim Parks and Recreation Director will be in place around the beginning of December, so we're looking forward to that. And as far as some new business goes, we have been interviewing student representatives for consideration under the board. The interviewing committee recommended selecting Jabrea Flowers as the next student representatives on the Recreation Board. Randy White, doesn't matter who made it, but so the council is making a recommendation to Borough Council to approve Jabrea Flowers as the new student representative to serve in the Recreation Board. And I will make that motion, and I will note that Jabrea is a wonderful young woman.
We have a second on that.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Jabrea.
Yep. She's playing a soccer game right now, I believe, as we speak. Just a note, Randy Widener was thanked for his years of service on the rec board. His term has expired at the end of 2020. So we thanked him for his service to the rec board. And that's it.
Thank you, Steve. All those in favor of accepting that report, please signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it. Refuse and recycling, Bill.
Okay, the Refuge and Recycling Committee met on October the 21st. Just some highlights to it. The tonnage of refuge that was picked up remains consistent. We have had significant increase in our recycling numbers, mostly due to people being home with COVID and with the borough participating in the flexible plastic packaging program. Yard waste has also increased for the same reason, more people staying home doing yard work. Under the performance section, we did have some issues with missed pickups, mostly of refuge. And Pat had addressed that with Pasquale Mascaro, and there seems to be a decrease in the missed pickups. Under the new business, letters were sent to our local officials, Mark Gillen and Judy Schwank, to lobby for the state to not use recycling funds to offset the state budget shortfalls, as the governor would like to do. And have not heard any back on that. And finally, the committee would like to recognize one of our committee members, Marianne Reardon, for her continued efforts for many years in coordinating a highway trash cleanup event, which had occurred on November 1. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Any questions for the recycling committee? All those in favor of accepting the report, please signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it. Fire and Police Committee, Bill again.
Okay. Fire and Police Committee met on October the 26th. Chief Hackman reported that Wyomissing received a FEMA grant in the amount of $28,192.73. This will be, you would like to purchase a gear extractor, washing machine with installation, including 2 thermal imaging cameras, 2 positive pressure ventilation fan. The committee is, and I'll make the recommendation, The council authorized Chief Hackman to move forward with the purchase of a gear extractor washing machine, including delivery, installation, and a special mounting plate for a cost of $9,000, and which will be funded by the awarded FEMA grant. And I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay. Also, we received notification of a water grant from PA Water in the amount of $1,000. Under Westernburg's ambulance, they just reported they responded to 243 calls for service in the borough. Moving on to the police department, Lieutenant Endy had received a request from a resident for a caution children at play sign at Lowers Lane as vehicles turn right onto the 1700 block of Delaware Avenue. And traffic speeds did not warrant this, but it was noted that at the bend, the road where Lowers Lane and Delaware Avenue meet, it does make it challenging for motorists to see pedestrians in that area. The committee is recommending that the installation of a caution children at play sign be installed in the 1700 block of Delaware Avenue, and I will make that recommendation.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
And that's all I have.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting the Fire and Police Committee report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Got it. All right, the next we have up is Finance and Administration, and we've got Planning Commission tucked in the middle there, so I'm going to take it kind of out of order and let Finance and Administration do all three of theirs at once, and then we'll pick up Planning Commission last. Steve, you're on.
Gee, thanks. All right. We met on, the Finance Committee met on October 27th as our preliminary meeting for the 2021 budget. I'm not going to get into too much detail there because it has changed over time. Just a reminder that the budget was for 2020. We had a deficit of $1,080,000, and due to the fact of what's all happened in the world with the pandemic, we put almost everything on hold, and we're able to avoid that loss just because of the fear of not knowing exactly what we're going to have in terms of revenues. So I think we were pretty diligent on taking care of what we needed to take care of to protect the borough and its taxpayers. We met again on November 2nd to get a little further into the budget. At that point, we found out that we had received, I'm trying to find it now. Now I'm on the Planning Commission meeting. We received $96,000 from the county, from the CARES Act funding, which would help to reimburse for some of our COVID expenditures, which would include some of those expenditures at the pool and other places where we had to do some things that we normally would be doing. At that point, we were told that our 2020 year-end projection was a surplus of $767,983, ending with a fund balance of just a shade over $9 million. Okay, thought I heard somebody say something. And then we moved on to discuss some thoughts on where we would be for 2021, any tax increases or increases to the water and sewer, which I'll get into as we get into the meeting of November 5th. So on November 5th, I'll give the first cash update. The end of October, we ended up with just a shade under $9,100,000. That was a $540,000 decrease from the previous month, but it is $523,000 different from or increase from where we were last year at the same time. Again, we did receive some of those fundings, one of those being the CARES Act. And then we discussed some of the abstract values of the real estate in the borough. Talked about the real estate transfer taxes, the mercantile taxes, where we think that will be. And the reality of it is on some of these taxes, it's kind of a guess due to the fact we're not sure if people are going to get refunds from overpaying in 2020 that they would get back in 2021. So again, getting into that, we'll get into the total budget. I guess I'll end that at the end. But then we got into our regular meeting on the 5th. We talked about the fee schedule for 2021, and the committee has made a recommendation to approve resolution 2020-27, establishing the borough 2021 borough fee schedule, and everybody was in favor in the committee, and I will make that recommendation to Borough Council.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of accepting the fee schedule, resolution 2020-27, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, then we got into the fourth quarter pension funding. Our obligation is $220,372.93. $35,941.30 was forfeited from two staff members who had changed their employment status. So we applied that to that, to include that into the $220,372.93. So the committee made a recommendation to make the fourth quarter MMO payment of that $220,372.93, utilizing that $35,941.30 of forfeited pension funding towards the fourth quarter MMO. Who's in favor of that? And I will make that motion.
And do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second. We have a roll call, please, Melissa.
Councilmember Boucher,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodward,
Yes.
Councilmember Brenner,
Yes.
Councilmember Jenks,
Yes.
Councilmember Menon,
Yes.
Councilmember Durr,
Yes.
and Council President Mole.
Yes. Okay, Steve.
Okay. Then talk about projected budget reviews. One of the things that we have asked Phyllis to do now is, and it really doesn't affect the total cash, but is to show so that we know and our taxpayers know of our balances, how much of it is basically spoken for. So we have set up reserves. And one of the examples is the MS4 payment. We're going to put in reserve $240,000, although it's just going to be cash sitting in our account, because we have a payment due of $400,000, I believe, in 2 or 3 years. And we're trying to accrue at $80,000 a year. So we would like, just as a reporting purpose, to be able to say, yes, we do have a fund balance, but of that fund balance, this is how much will be, this is how much we plan on, has been appointed for or used for the budget in future years. Some of the other things that we talked about with that would be a public works facility, to put money into a reserve for those types of things. Obviously, if we got money in from a police vehicle from the insurance point of view, put that in a reserve fund because we have to keep it in cash, but yet we're going to buy that police vehicle down the road. So that's one thing we did discuss. It will not affect the overall numbers, but it will affect, it will show you just a different number at the end of each month, if you will, because those dollars are spoken for. And then on to what everybody wants to hear about, the budget for 2020. The budget that has been approved by finance does have a deficit of $1.476 million. And to get to that number, we had to made some adjustments on, obviously, taxes as well as the water and sewer rates. And we did transfer some money from the water and sewer funds into the general budget. But that being said, I believe what we have to do is make a motion to advertise the tax changes, which the borough has, or excuse me, the Finance and Admin Committee has recommended to Borough Council to increase taxes by 25 basis points or 1/4 of 1 mil. and raise the water and sewer rates by 3%. And I will make that motion.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please, Melissa?
Councilmember Boucher,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodward,
Yes.
Councilmember Brunner,
Yes.
Councilmember Jenks,
Yes.
Councilmember Menon,
Yes.
Councilmember Durr,
Yes.
and Council President Mull.
Yes.
Okay. Like in all years, this is my first year of being in head of this committee, but I will tell you that like as in all years, we will always look to cut that budget number down, that deficit number down as the course of the year goes, both on expense wise as well as potential other revenue sources that we could get from other entities. At this point, that is all I have from the Finance and Admin Committee.
All right. I just want to clarify for the record, the motion that was just passed by council, I interpret as meaning authorization to advertise the budget for 2021 and also authorization to advertise the tax ordinance that will support the 2021 budget. So I think that's what the motion did, and I just want the record to be clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I want to just take a few seconds to personally thank Keith, Steve. You guys did a lot of work on revamping our way we keep our books, and it shows. There's a lot of good things that have been added to this, a lot more information, and I want to thank you for taking that bull by the horns and getting it done. Thank you. And all those in favor of accepting the finance report, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, ends that. Planning Commission, John.
Well, we met on November 2nd and got a lot done in an hour, but I think the minutes are reflective of what we did, and I have a couple motions to make. But before that, I'd like to say that we have a new member of the Planning Commission, Scott Miller, and he's a registered landscape architect and is familiar with SALDO, which is subdivision and land development ordinances. I think he'll be a great addition, and he was at our last meeting. So that's it.
Great.
I'll make these motions after. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, but I'd like to get through these motions.
Go ahead, John.
Okay. I move that that council grant appoint the waiver from the subdivision and land development ordinance for the requirements to provide the elevation of all existing and required street monuments. And I so move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Noes? Ayes have it. Thank you. John.
Furthermore, I recommend the council grant appoint final plan approval since work has been finalized that was outlined in the review comments in McCarthy Engineering review letter dated October 27th, 2020, and I so move.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Bill. John.
I also recommend council grant the metropolitan waiver from the subdivision and land development ordinance for no on-street parking permitted on service or internal streets conditional upon all review comments in McCarthy Engineering's review letter dated October 29th, 2020, and annexation plan since the original land development plan has already been recorded, and I so move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Have it. Hi, John.
That's about all I have unless there are any questions.
Any questions for John on the Planning Commission report? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting it, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Borough Manager report, Pat.
Good evening, everybody. The Joint Municipal Authority minutes of September 14th are in your packets, as well as the calendar for the upcoming month. The CARES grant that Councilmember Bruno spoke about for the COVID-19 expenses of $96,980. We are in the process now of submitting our receipts in. As soon as those receipts are received by the county, then they will be dispensing those funds. Those funds will be received before the first of the year. We've also just finished working on the application for our Safety Committee yearly recertification, which has been submitted to the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry. And what that does is, because of our Safety Committee and our safety policies, it gives us a 5% decrease in our workers' compensation insurance through the state. And that's pretty much the rest of it. The rest of it is our normal COVID statements, but personnel are still operating safely and we're still following our COVID response plans.
Okay. Any questions for the Borough Manager? All those in favor of accepting that report, please signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it. The next one is the Treasurer's Statement of Operation for the General Fund, the Bureau of Water, Sewer Fund, Highway Aid, Refuse and Recycling, and the Road Tax Fund. Greg Portner is not with us online tonight, so any questions on the financial statement? All those in favor of accepting it as written, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Ayes have it. The next one is the accounts payable for the General Fund, the Bureau of Water, the Sewer Fund, the Refuse and Recycling Fund. Any questions on the bills?
This is a very minute detail, but I saw at the very beginning, somebody got a pair of boots for $390. I'm just wondering what those boots look like.
Gold.
They get, as part of this collective bargaining agreement, they're allowed to get 2 pair of boots. That basically accounts for the boot reimbursement is for both pairs of those.
Oh, so it's 2 pair.
Correct.
Okay, and are they're that expensive? $360?
Well, the safety shoes, that's for 2 pair, I imagine, are probably $150, $180 a piece.
Okay.
Which is kind of the normal
All
rate
right,
for
I
the
just
safety
thought-
boots.
Yeah, I just saw it because it was the first thing on the list. I thought, wow. But it just said 1, that's why I was wondering. Okay.
Yeah.
It's only 1 boot, Tom. They're going to get the next one late.
All right. Just checking, that's all.
You want to see the other boot that's even bigger.
Yeah. Jeez.
Let's see, all those in favor of accepting the accounts payable, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Man. Tax collectors report. Any questions on the tax collectors report? All those in favor of accepting that report, please signify by saying aye.
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 Have it. Now we've done the resolution 2027. We've done ordinance 1415-2020 to advertise. And the last thing that we have is a note from Dave Kozloff on the resolution that we did for his wife, Jerry, had passed away, our former council president. And it says, "Dear Tom, my family and I thank you and the members of Borough Council for gracious memorial resolution honoring Jerry, adopted by Council on June the 9th, 2020. In many ways, Jerry's service on Borough Council is the ideal position to allow her to deploy her various talents and interests in government, education, public policy, and people. She valued the interaction with other members of Council as well as the devoted staff of the borough. She took great satisfaction from the work accomplished by Council during her tenure. To have selected her by her peers as President of Council was a singular honor for her. In her terms, it also meant more responsibilities, which she has not only welcomed but enjoyed. The opportunity to serve the borough was a real sense of her way saying thank you to the community, which has been her home for over 50 years. with appreciation and all good wishes for the important work you do for Wyomissing. Sincerely, David M. Kozloff. Enough said there. We miss Jerry.
Mr. Mull, I think, Mr. Mull, I think you have ordinance number 1410
Yeah.
in 2020 to approve.
Right, and
I do.
Tom, we need to not only consider that ordinance, but to precede the consideration of that ordinance with a public hearing. And if I may, with your permission, I'll assist with that public hearing.
Okay.
All right, thank you. This is the time and place that's been advertised for a public hearing regarding an amendment to the building code of the Borough of Wyomissing. And there are a couple of things that this proposed ordinance would address. First, it would adopt the 2015 version of the International Fire Code, Chapter 5, Fire Services Features. This is an update to the current regulations of the Borough of Wyomissing. The second thing it does is it will mandate automatic standpipe systems instead of manual wet standpipe systems in order to better protect the residents of the Borough of Wyomissing. And the third thing it does is to establish water supply requirements for automatic standpipe systems. It also, the fourth thing it does is to establish a safety factor for sprinklers so that there are minimum standards in place. So those are the things that ordinance addresses, and as is required for a public hearing, we need to ask if there's any public comment regarding the advertised ordinance. And I'm looking at my screen and not seeing any yellow, so I'm thinking that there are no public comments unless someone speaks up. All right, Mr. President, I think it is appropriate then for council to close the public hearing, and you may now consider a motion to approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Somebody willing to?
So moved.
Okay, and a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Aye.
And that's it. Any other business to be brought before council this evening? Hearing none, we'll stand adjourned.
Stay healthy.
Yeah.